welcome back to another fabulous confabulation with me, Jay Mills. Now today I have the pleasure of speaking to Amira Yahyaoui, the CEO and founder of Mos, which is a platform that helps students pay for college through simplifying access to financial aid. Now, Amira was also a human rights activist in her home country, Tunisia, and was even exiled from her country in 2002 for protesting against the government. Yet she remains resilient, fierce, and is now helping millions of students stay out of debt. Hello, Amira, how are you?
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for chatting with me. This is going to be a wonderful conversation. I know it.
I have absolutely no doubt.
So what inspired you to create Mos, and what was the process of creating Mos?
Yes. So actually, I think if we go back to what is Mos's mission, it will make sense to everyone who's watching this. Okay. Mos's mission is to tear down all financial barriers to opportunity. And I think now it's like, of course, now I get it, why she built Mos. So my story is of an activist for human rights and for access to rights, I would say. I really dedicated my life since I'm 14, first in my country, but then elsewhere. And today, I mean, I would say what inspires me are the people that we're serving more than where they are from, what is their gender, what is their race, what language are they speaking. I actually pretty agnostic about that. And so when we started Mos, the vision was large, which is tear down financial barriers to opportunity. And then we were like, okay, but what should we build? What is the thing that we need to build that really tears down these kind of barriers? And through research, talking to people, thinking it through, honestly, access to higher education came number one. And so what we do at Mos today is a solution for students to avoid debt and get college without taking on loans or ruining their family's future.
Yeah, which I think is super necessary. I mean, I wrote a whole piece on, why college should be free, because it's absolutely ridiculous. So I thank you for creating this platform. And I just wanted to know if you could elaborate more on like what the process is like if people want to go on to Mos, like what do they have to do?
Yes. So what would you do if you want to go to college as a high school senior? You will be, okay, I need to apply to college and I need to figure out how to pay for it. Mm-hmm. And then you probably go on the college website and see that it costs $45,000 a year. And then you will be praying that your parents have some college funds. And then you will put them in that position of them telling you $200,000 for us is a lot of money. Whatever is that money, it's a lot of money, especially now with COVID. Mm-hmm. Like, it is such a tough question. And it's horrible for a parent to have to say maybe to their children. So unfortunately, this is how the system works. But there was, in the past 20 years, some revolution that I call fake revolution, which is we made access to loans to pay for college easier. Right. So what are we doing? We're taking the problem from here and putting it in 4 years. So you think you are getting to college easily, but you'll have to pay for this money. Like, there is no choice. You have to pay for this money. Most students are eligible to some financial aid. And actually those who need it the most usually are eligible to the most. It's sort of a fair system if you think about it. Like, there is money out there. There's a lot of money out there, but that money is so inaccessible and so complicated to understand and such a pain in the to get. So as a student, you have to apply for college, you have to study, you have to do your SAT, you have to do all of that stuff. And if you are a college student, you probably are working and all of that. And on top of that, you are chasing money dollar by dollar. So what we did at Mos is every single dollar out there in the world that you as a student, you're eligible for, will match you with it. Okay. So this doesn't mean we give you money you're not eligible for. This means that instead of spending your year every weekend applying to scholarships, you come to Mos and you're not just applying, you're searching for it first. You come to Mos and you have everything in there, and then we help you apply and make sure that you get the maximum amount you are eligible for.
Nice. And so what do you find is a common mistake that students do when they are applying for financial aid? Like, what are some things that students don't know about that they really should know?
Yeah. One, they don't apply. Let's start with the first one.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot get something you did not ask for. Like,
Very true.
you know, fairy tales don't really exist, but at least on this. So you need to apply. Like, you have to do it. But I would say the most common mistake is that students think by applying to a FAFSA, they apply to everything. And that kills us at Mos, because we have students who sometimes we serve and would tell us, but I already applied to FAFSA. And like, yeah, FAFSA is like the minimum you would apply for. FAFSA is the federal aid that actually includes some state aid, but sometimes applying to FAFSA only won't get you the money, because to get $5,000, you need to apply to FAFSA, and then you do this paperwork, and you need your college to sign the thing, and you need whatever to email this thing. So if you only apply to FAFSA, you think you apply to the money, but you actually not gonna get it. So I would say first mistake, which is not the student's mistake, it's actually, I would say, high schools, colleges' mistake, because that's what they tell the students, and also some, not all of them, obviously, and also like the press and online. If you go online, you read a lot of people telling you, oh, you just need to apply to FAFSA. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can apply to FAFSA. You might get, if you are very, very, very low income student with an excellent GPA, you'll get maybe $20,000 a year. But like, we have students who will get $70,000 a year, because there is a lot of money out there, and it's more than FAFSA. I would say these are the two mistakes.
Wow, even I didn't know that, and so it's like, wow, like no, but that's a great point. So basically, Mos it's connected to FAFSA, but it goes a step beyond FAFSA.
Yeah, so we do FAFSA for every student. FAFSA is an application that we actually do for free. Okay. And when you do your FAFSA through Mos, here are the two things you win. One, the three things. The first one is that, I mean, the FAFSA website is extremely ugly, and it's like 1995 type of websites, and ours is a billion times better. So you get like the experience is better. Mm-hmm. But also you get two other things. One is we check if you made mistakes. Okay. FAFSA doesn't check. It's your problem. You fill out, it's like the IRS. You fill out a form, it's your problem. So we do check, and we can see inconsistency, and we will let you know. Because one of the problem of FAFSA is if you get caught into the verification process, which means FAFSA looks at your application and will be like, oh, we think this is a mistake, or they are trying to lie in their application, then you're blocked for like months, and it's a horrible process. So you don't want to go through that. We take care of it. So we take care of your verification. And if you got caught in the verification process, we take care of it. We know that you have been caught, so we will like reach out to you and figure out what happened. And last, I would say, by applying to FAFSA through Mos, we know if you are eligible to more money. So we know if you only should apply to FAFSA, which is very few students need that. But we will know if you're missing out of other money you're eligible for, and that's where actually the magic in Mos happens.
Okay. And is it ever too late to sign up with Mos? Can you do it any time of the year?
Yeah, you can do it. So the way aid works is it starts at a date and it finishes at a date. But there are like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things out there. So there is money out there almost all the time. But to be honest, start early. The earlier you start, the more you will get. Why? Because some aid is first come, first served.
Okay.
What Mos is doing, which is, we're very proud of this, is that financial aid process starts usually on October 1st. That's when FAFSA opens.
Okay.
We are opening on September 1st, so in a few weeks. And what will happen is that you get it done, and you will be in our like algorithm. And whenever something opens, we automatically applies you to it. So you'll be first in line for everything.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's amazing. So do you have any like favorite success stories that you can maybe share about people, you know, getting money?
I have a ton. I have a ton of stories. You know, I think our first student was a very heartwarming story. I was at the time, Mos was not public yet. Like we were just testing it with some students, and these students come from very low income family, and he thought that he had a good GPA and everything, but he was like thinking about the price of college, and therefore was thinking about applying to like just a school that is nearby, while he dreamt of going to like a private college somewhere. No. And when we saw the application, like the student's application was insane, you know, and I'm like, wait, like you can get to any college you want, you know, you have such an incredible story. And he ended up at Harvard with full ride, you know, and that, and he's a first gen student. And it was so good. Like what are the odds that our first student
Right. Exactly.
But I would say at Mos, we work on Slack. For some people, maybe they know what it is. And others is just like a sort of a work social media where we work together now that everyone is online, right? Mm-hmm. And we have like a group chat between the team members called Why We Do This. Why We Do This is the place where we publish, whenever a student gets financial aid, we publish, hey, X got that much, and we added this much. And like every day we have stories, you know, like I don't have a favorite student, but I have like stories that came in times that were so hard for the student, and seeing the life transformation of the students, what really makes us happy.
Nice. And I'm sure that, you know, makes you want to keep on going because so many, I know you mentioned like in an article that you want to like reach tens of millions of students, you know, and so like this is honestly the way to do that for sure. So there's also a lot of like petitions going out right now, especially, you know, during this pandemic about like canceling student loans. Do you think those are effective? And like, do you think there will ever be a time in America where college will cost little to no money?
If I can vote right now, I would vote for free education. I mean, of course, you know, like who doesn't? Mm-hmm. And actually, it's so important to know that the rest of the world doesn't pay this much to go to college. This is such a crazy business, you know, and unfair. Like I understand that it costs something,
right?
You know? And I understand that private colleges would be a little bit more expensive because it's private. Like I understand that, but I do not understand like the insane prices. Like it is absurd. It's way too much. It's abusive. That's the point. Mm-hmm. So do I think in 50 years, all colleges in America will be free? Do I think students and parents and businesses like ours and NGOs can like work together to get the price down and to make it fair? Yes. Like I think the price should not be the same for every student. Means that the asking price starts lower for low income students, and then those students can find financial aid to lower it to zero, you know. And I understand that, if your dad is a billionaire, fine. If you're paying $1 million for a degree, like fine, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like it's not a big thing for you. So it just needs. I think what needs to happen in education is equity, and I think that students have the power to change that.
Okay. Because I mean, it's a conversation that we've been having for so long about, you know, canceling student loans and debt. And, you know, you sign so many petitions and you're like, will this ever work or so? So I just wanted to know your opinion on that.
Even if it doesn't work, sign.
Right.
It's for sure that not signing is not going to change anything.
Right.
So start by signing.
Right, exactly. It's a start, and you know, you can't give up. So of course. Do you have any future goals for Mos?
Yeah. So, so for the coming years, to be honest, we will be only working on making it the best thing for students. We want the 20 million students who are applying to colleges every year, either high school seniors or college students, to know that they think about college, they apply through Mos, and then they think about if they have a gap of financing, then they think about getting other kinds of money. But first, they need to get the free money out there that is right in front of them. So like, we want Mos to be like, really like even more than the FAFSA means, like everyone will apply to Mos through it. And we have like work to do and we can make it better. And we are like adding tens of thousands of private scholarships now a month, like next year. So we're launching Mos on the new Mos on September 1st. And by October, November, we will have like around 100,000 private scholarships on Mos. That's
nice.
That's a lot. And we will keep doing that. And I have that dream. I have also the dream of creating a community of students around Mos who will be the ones who will tell us, hey, you should add this, and we want this feature, and I want to push my school to buy Mos for all the students for free, and I want to give Mos to some students, and I want to work with you. We create a scholarship for students and things like that. Like that is our dream. And third, in the long run, I mean, our mission is to tear down all financial barriers to opportunity. And so we want Mos to help those students in other things, getting your first internship, getting your first job, opening, I don't know, your bank account without getting ripped off. I don't know, like anything that will make your financial future secure.
Oh, wow. So you want to expand, you know, also to the internships and also to just like to anything that could better a student in any aspect. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be so cool. I'm ready for it. But you also mentioned how you would be launching like private scholarships, and that was my next question. Like, you know, you did the Black Students Matter scholarship, which I am incredibly grateful for and thankful for. So thank you for that. And I was gonna ask if you are, you know, planning to do more scholarships, but
yes,
you are.
Yes, I mean, when the assassination of George Floyd happened, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like the question for us was, what will we do? Like, I mean, like everybody should ask themselves, like, what do you do? Okay, I went on the street and the team went on the street and we were like glued to what's happening and enraged and trying and whatever. But at the end, we're like, what do we do in life? We help students get financial aid. We know that Black students are discriminated compared to other races. We know that the access is lower. We know it. And we know that we created an incredible platform because we have 32% of our students identify as Black students, you know, so which is 12% in America. So we have double the percentage, which is amazing because since day one, we were thinking about how can we make a product that works for everybody, you know, and not just like a group. And then we're like, okay, what do we do with, like, we have students, what can we do? And we decided we're a very new company, so we don't have like the masses of money that Google has, but they're like, okay, we'll put a check. And then we reached out to people we know or our investors, and we asked them if they wanted to put a small check. And we ended up with $100,000 in 10 days.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so we decided to like cut it. And that was a question: should we cut it like 5,000 and give it to a small number, or like smaller sizes and give it to a bigger number? We decided to cut it and sort of a smaller checks and give it to a big number. But then came the inspiration, which is should do this all the time, and we should do it for everything, you know. And so I'm excited to say that next year we will have more Mos built scholarships.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll be partnering with like brands and people and celebrities, but also just normal people who want to create $1,000 scholarship per year. Like, why not, you know?
Well, hey, I'm going to be selling my shirts in a couple of days to start my own scholarship fund. So maybe that's something we need to talk about.
Of course, we'll put it in there.
Yeah,
sure.
But I mean, I thank you for, you know, amplifying, you know, Black students, you know, because we're not always, you know, broadcast, and, you know, there's not always a light shown on our accomplishments. And so even like the whole BLM page that you did on Mos was, you know, great to learn about different students who are, you know, on the front lines and who are creative and artists and just all different types of professions. And so it was really inspiring, and it definitely made me feel good. So I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
And so branching into activism, as I mentioned in your introduction, you are an activist and you have been through so much, you know, being on the front lines. How have you remained persistent and, you know, speaking up and, you know, not giving up on, you know, what you're doing despite of all of the challenges that came your way?
Yeah. I mean, it was tough, right? I was banned from my country when I was 17, so it is not like an easy life, and you're too young to, like, you're too old to not understand, and you're too young to really understand what's going on. And I would say somehow there was this deep belief that we'll end up winning. You know, and this might seem cheesy to the people who are watching, but I really believe that at the end, in anything at the end, the winner is the one who deserves to win. You know, and that there is some equilibrium in the world, and that as much as hate is loud, the good ends up winning at the end, and the good is the right way to go. And I personally, I read so much, and I read the stories of people who fought, you know, and who ended up impacting the world in a way that is incredible. I mean, we can take a billion examples, but like Rosa Parks, for example, when you read the story, you know that at the end it was worth it. The suffering was worth it, you know, and that how many people, we have no clue who they are, who passed in this world with no impact. And I just didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be just a random body out there consuming and then dying. You know, I was like, if there is something I can add to this world, I just use myself for it, you know? And you know what? Listen, we ended up winning.
Exactly.
Of course we did. We then ended up winning, and we ended up winning like big time and inspiring people. And like I was homeless. I was an illegal immigrant. I was stateless. I mean, there's nothing horrible I didn't go through. And now look at me, like I run a business out of Silicon Valley, and look at me talking to you. And, right? And, like life is a constant up and down. And like when you're going down, like you need to keep that belief that it's going to go up at some point. But when you're going up, remember that hard days are coming. So enjoy it, but also use it in the right way.
Right. And you really showed that, you know, your life and everyone's life has a purpose, you know, and you felt that you needed to fight no matter the challenges that you were going through. I mean, I could only imagine how tough that could have been, that whole journey. And so like the fact that you stood your ground and you came for one thing and you made sure you got that is just truly like inspiring, for sure.
Thank
Of
you.
course.
I hope it will inspire other people. And again, like maybe my story is like very big, means like it impacts the country, but doesn't necessarily mean that. Like if you can impact one other human being, just do it, you know? Like don't be selfish. Like give a bit, like even the tiniest bit. And that's how progress happens. Not everyone is an AOC, right? Like I dream of being her or a Greta or the like incredible female leaders. But that doesn't mean it's the only way to be active. Actually, the impact of community, of touching the person who's right in front of your eyes, is where like the real change happens.
Yeah, and I think that's especially important now because there are so many young activists that are on the front lines right now. I mean, like I'm literally doing a protest tomorrow in my town. And so there's so many people who are willing to, sacrifice and, put themselves on the line for other people's lives. And so what advice can you give those people, while they are on the front lines, and anything you can say to that?
Is while being aware of the risks, obviously, and especially in a country where like you can just get shot, right, and be killed for walking the night or being in your car, sleeping in your car. While being aware of the risks, know that it's always worth it. It is worth it. You should do it. You should go. And I would say, for the 17 to 25 years old, read. Learn the stories of the activists who came before you. Understand how they organize. Understand how you change people's mind. Understand how you advocate for a cause. Read. History is filled with tactics to get there faster, and keep it fun. Like activist doesn't need to be sad. Like keep it fun. Keep, like today, I mean, my favorite social media for activism is TikTok. And why? Because like you see these real people. It's not fake. It's like people are like talking with their hearts and trying how they can. And I think being authentic and enjoy your life while fighting is very important. Like it doesn't need to be just crying and suffering.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a serious 100% of the time, but I also agree that activism can be fun because the protest that I did a month ago, I kind of combined the arts as well. So I did a protest where people performed as well and people spoke. And people really gravitated towards that idea because it was, in a way it was entertaining, but also persuasive because the stuff that people were performing also had meaning, And so there's so many ways and so many outlets of activism, So
Be creative.
Exactly. Yeah. So what is some advice that you can give to students who are looking for scholarships? Like I know Mos is an option, but then, people also like to apply to scholarships. What is some advice that you can give for them?
Yeah, so I would say make sure before applying and spending your night writing an essay for 5 pages essay, that read the eligibility criteria and do your research to know if this is a real scholarship or it's a scam. Okay, so I understand like Mos is a business and it's a paid service, and maybe some people want just to do it themselves, but like it's going to take you time, right? And it's going to take you way more effort, and it's fine. You can decide to do that, but like, just don't waste the effort in applying to things that don't exist, or scammy, or actually it's a scholarship that is running for 3 years, and 300,000 students will apply for it for $5,000 for one student. Like, don't apply to that. Like apply to things that are maybe smaller amounts, but you have higher chances for to get them. I would say that. Yeah.
Okay. And then do you have any advice for students who are trying to advocate for more money? You know, do they go to their financial aid? Do they call them? Like, what advice can you give for that?
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. We have this process called the appeal process where you applied for financial aid. So this is running until end of this month. So you're a student, you already applied for financial aid and the college already sent you an offer letter. Okay. And let's say Jamila, you get like $15,000. You send us your letter and we know actually you should get $18,000, not $15,000. And $3,000 is a lot of money. Like it's not,
It is.
right?
It is.
So, and even if you are eligible to $100 more, like you should get it. Why aren't they giving it to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a student.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and so we because we have the knowledge, we are able to like stand on behalf of the student and tell the college, no, there are 3,000 like missing in this aid. And just yesterday was shocking. We have a student who's eligible to the Pell Grant. Pell Grant is only FAFSA. You have nothing else to do. So this is the kind of student who should have been like, I don't need Mos. I just applied to my FAFSA. I'm going to get all my money. $5,000 less he got on his Pell Grant. And we had to appeal him. And we got him $5,000 more.
Wow.
On like an application where you're not supposed to do that. But you are actually. That's what students don't know. What I would say, 70% of students don't get all the money they are eligible for in their offer letter. Okay. They can poker face the financial aid office and be like, I know I'm eligible to more, give me more. Do a lot of research, learn about it always. And also, I mean, we're here to do that too. Like we have financial advisors who do this. So it's like, you know your rights. It's very hard to know your rights because it's just like an infinite number of programs and eligibility criteria, but like try to know your rights and don't settle for the first offer. You can usually get more. Okay. That maybe is something that can be very helpful for me.
Yeah, that was helpful for me. So thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And lastly, do you have any advice for beauties who want to create an organization or build a business, but they don't necessarily know how?
Yeah. So I have a lot. I mean, I have one. Start. Okay. That's it.
Just do it.
Start.
Yeah.
Like just start. And you know what? Maybe your first business won't work. And maybe even your third business won't work. But what would happen is that you would learn how to do it. You can learn by sitting in front of a computer and try to understand how it works. There is nothing that replaces trying and doing it yourself and failing until you get it. So just start. I had no clue how to build a business before starting Mos. Like I've never built a business. I actually never worked at a business before Mos. And here I am, like it's just start and know that you will make mistakes. You will fail so many times, but you're not the only one. Everyone will make mistakes and everyone will fail. And that it's all about how quick you are at, okay, got the mistakes, got the learning, moving on and not stay there.
Thank you. Well, Amira, this has been the end of our conversation, and this has been a wonderful conversation, super informative. You're so lovely to talk to, and so I thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you so much, Amira. I cannot wait to watch this, and we need to do the same where we interview you because you have incredible stories.
Thank you. I would love that.
Yes. We'll do that.
So remember, beauties, Amira is a girl with beauty and brains, and so are you. Bye.